Welcome back to another video, and today we got our Week 13 college football top 25 rankings. I can't believe there's only 2 weeks left of the regular season. The regular season has flown by, but that just means we got to analyze all the playoff scenarios. We had a bunch of huge games last week. We got to predict a bunch of huge games this week. So many playoff implications on the line, so many scenarios, and we're going to talk about each team's chances of making the playoffs as well as predict their game this week. So a lot to talk about here. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Real quick, I want to say if you're new around here, make sure you subscribe. We're posting 4 times a week. College basketball on Mondays, college football on Tuesdays, NFL Wednesdays, NBA Thursdays. So if any of that interests you, make sure you go down there and subscribe. But let's go ahead and get into the top 25. I said this last week that there was only kind of 24 teams I wanted to rank. And it's kind of the same thing here. I'm going to go Illinois at 25. I don't feel great about this. The 8 people, I'm recording this before the selection committee gave their top 25. The 8 people decided to rank North Texas and Tulane. Honestly, neither of those teams really stood out all that much to me. I thought about Tulane, but Tulane has 2 losses. Yes, they have a win over Duke, which is pretty good, but they got blown out to Ole Miss. They lost to UTSA. I guess they did beat Memphis, but I don't know. The American Conference is just such a mess right now. Tulane, they beat East Carolina as well. But Tulane, Navy both have 2 losses. I thought about North Texas as well, but we saw South Florida blow them out. We thought South Florida was going to be the G5 for a lot of this season. Then it became Memphis. Then Memphis lost 2 in a row. Then it was South Florida again. But then South Florida just lost. So it's kind of been all over the place with this conference. South Florida's now 7-3. So I don't know if they're going to be able to get in here. Sorry about that big rant on the American Conference. I just wanted to say it's such a mess right now, and I feel like none of these teams are really sticking out to me, really separating themselves. So I'm just going to throw Illinois in here at 25. Like I said, I don't feel great about this, but Illinois is getting a lot of votes in the AP poll. This is kind of just love to the Big Ten. I mean, Illinois didn't play Ohio State all that bad. At Washington and at Indiana are both pretty tough games, and the USC win looks pretty good. So, I don't know. I'll give some love to Illinois and Luke Altmaier. They're going to be at 25. I think they should be able to beat Wisconsin here, no problems. Illinois is looking to finish 9-3. I mean, Northwestern's a very good team. We'll talk about them when we talk about Michigan, but that's going to be a tough game, but Illinois could very well finish 9-3. That should be a pretty nice bowl game they get into. Number 24 is going to be James Madison. All of a sudden, we got a new conference representing the Group of 5 team in the playoff as of right now. James Madison, they're going to be my highest Group of 5 team. I like what James Madison's doing, man. They're 9-1. Obviously, they've just been blowing out teams in the Sun Belt. And the American Conference was kind of the conference looked at to provide the Group of 5 team. It very well still could. I mean, James Madison, Washington State, it's a non-conference game. Could be a little interesting there. We saw Washington State give a close game to Ole Miss, so that'll be interesting. James Madison's only loss is on the road to Louisville by 14 points as well, so that looks pretty good. Louisville is a very solid team. They're at 7-3 right now. So James Madison, shout out to them. They're going to be my Group of 5 representative. They just continue to blow out teams in the Sun Belt, so I like that for them. I think they win against Washington State. I'm not sure what the spread is in this game. They're favored by 13.5, so I have Washington State covering. Could be a tough game. There was rumors that this game was going to be like the game day game, which would have been crazy, but that ultimately didn't happen. I do think James Madison wins, though. I actually have Washington State covering, though. I think they're a decent team. 23, I'm going to go Louisville. I'm going to drop them 3. I mean, I felt like if I ranked James Madison, I kind of had to rank Louisville. Louisville beat them head-to-head. I'm a big head-to-head guy. Look at that. Louisville also has a nice win against Miami. Went over Pitt. Both on the road, by the way. Those look very good. Obviously, they've lost 2 in a row, though, now, and their ACC title hopes, their season is officially over. That was a very tough loss to Clemson to suffer. So now they're 7-3. They got a very tough game at SMU this week. I think they probably lose again. I see them losing. I don't know. I think SMU's kind of on the same tier as them. I thought about ranking SMU. It's on the road. SMU kind of still trying to compete, I guess you could say, in the ACC. I know Louisville is too. I mean, both these teams. It's not like either of them are just going to give up completely. But SMU is a solid team. I don't know. The ACC is just such a mess right now. Really, anything can happen. I mean, we're seeing Cal beat teams left and right. I mean, Clemson's beating ranked teams. Clemson's been a train wreck all season. You really never know what you're going to get. And SMU is still 5-1 in the ACC, so they still have, I guess, a chance to make the ACC championship game. So I think SMU's playing for a little bit more right now. Louisville has 3 losses in conference, so they're not going to be able to get into the ACC championship game. SMU will, so I think SMU playing for a little bit more. They got into the playoffs last year. I'm pretty sure they won the ACC last year. So, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I think SMU wins this game here at home. Number 22 is going to be Houston. I had them ranked, a few weeks back, and then they lost to West Virginia, so I had to drop them out. But you look at the resume; it's not bad. Like a road win against Arizona State. That's kind of their best win. I mean, they have a loss to West Virginia, which isn't great. Lost to Texas Tech, not terrible. I mean, Texas Tech is a really good team. Huge game this week against TCU. Houston currently favored by 1.5, so essentially a pick'em game there. Houston, I guess you could say, is still alive for the Big 10 or the Big 12 championship race. Like they got 2 losses along with Cincinnati, Arizona State, and Utah. And then obviously Texas Tech and BYU are sitting with 1 loss each at the top of the conference. I think Houston's playing for a little bit more. I think they get this one at home. I like Houston to win. I think they find a way. Connor Wiegman, for those of you who don't know, I believe he was at Texas Tech, or not Texas Tech, Texas A&M. Last year, he comes over to Houston. They've been pretty solid. So, 8-2 Big 12 team. I'll go ahead and throw Houston into the top 25 once again. Number 21 is going to be Missouri. We saw Missouri get absolutely blown out by A&M last week, or the week prior to last week. But last week, they really took it to Mississippi State. They were getting the ground game going. It was a really nice looking game. I had Missouri ranked in the top 25 last week. They were my number 25 team, and I was saying I didn't want to rank them, but I guess I'll just keep them in. I think they deserve to be ranked after that performance. I mean, 49 points is very, Ahmad Hardy, this dude ran for 300 yards, and going into this Oklahoma game, I think Eli Drinkwitz is gonna want to play spoiler, obviously. He doesn't seem like the type of guy to just kind of settle down and accept the fact that Oklahoma may be better overall. I think he's going to go out there, really put up a fight. I think Ahmad Hardy could maybe get going. Missouri likes to run outside runs a lot, and Oklahoma, the way they play defense, that could potentially get interesting there if Oklahoma tends, overcommits a little bit or something. I think Ahmad Hardy could get going. But ultimately, I think Oklahoma's just playing for too much right now. They get this one at home as well. I don't see Missouri going into OU and winning this game. So I actually have OU winning and covering 7.5 right now. I have OU winning by 10. I just feel like I can't trust this Missouri quarterback. We saw Texas A&M give it to them. And I think OU, maybe not as good as Texas A&M, but still a very good team and on the road as well. I think OU defensively, it's going to be hard for Missouri to just run the ball over and over again. I mean, maybe it won't be because Ahmad Hardy, like I said, averaged 12 yards a carry last week. He ran for 300 yards. So if he does that again, Missouri will probably win this game. But Oklahoma needs to win out to make the playoffs. I think they know that, and I think they will get a win here. They're just playing for more right now. Tennessee, number 20. They take care of business against New Mexico State. Now they go on the road into the Swamp to play Florida. I want to say the last time they won in the Swamp against Florida was 2003, which is a crazy stat, by the way. So Tennessee cannot win on the road in this rivalry game. I think it's going to be a very close game. Florida, obviously a very talented team. DJ Lagway, the defense has a lot of studs. Don't let that record fool you. Florida is still a very good team. However, I think Tennessee is a little bit better. Joey Aguilar, I still love him. I still love Josh Heupel. I know they have 3 losses, so they can't make the playoffs, but I think Tennessee goes in, ends the streak. I think they win. I think they find a way to win. I have Florida covering. Tennessee's favored by 3.5. I think Tennessee gets it done. I think they are the much better team here. But like I said, Florida just always wins at home in this rivalry. It's a big game. Both these teams are going to get up for it. That's why I have it as such a close game. I do think Tennessee finds a way to win, though, but I think Florida's defense keeps them in it, maybe slows down Tennessee's offense enough to make this one a very interesting game. It's a night game as well. Going to be very tough for Tennessee, but I think Tennessee does find a way to win and end that streak. Number 19 is going to be Virginia. They're going to stay put where they're at, but this was a huge win. Don't get it twisted. Huge win on the road against Duke. They go in there on the road. I picked Duke to win this game. Virginia won by 17 points. They looked pretty good in this one, man. that's really all I can say. Like Chandler Morris, 316 passing yards. They ran for 224 yards as a team on the ground. Like Virginia came out ready to go in this one, knocked Duke out of the ACC title race essentially, and now there's only 4 teams with 1 loss. It's really going to come down to these last 2 weeks here for the ACC. Virginia's actually on bye this week, and they've got a huge rivalry game against Virginia Tech. By the way, Virginia Tech welcoming a new head coach next season. James Franklin's going down there. I'm interested to see how that's going to work out. We'll obviously continue to keep you guys posted on that, but that's just an interesting hire I wanted to shout out. But back to the ACC title race, like Virginia, still very much alive for the playoffs. I think, I'm not sure how the tiebreakers work in the ACC. I think it's kind of a weird thing where it's like opponents' records, wins over opponents. I don't know. It's a weird thing that they do, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So Virginia, obviously must-win game against Virginia Tech coming out of the bye, but I think getting the bye here helps them a lot. It's going to give them a lot of time to prepare. And like I said, SMU, huge game this week against Louisville. If SMU loses, then it's down to 3 teams with 1 loss in the ACC. Georgia Tech and Pitt actually play each other this week, so huge game. We'll get to that shortly. But yeah, there's, Virginia going to need to win that Virginia Tech game coming out of the bye, but I think Virginia is in a great spot, maybe the best spot of these 1-loss ACC teams, because SMU still has to play Louisville, which is going to be a tough game. Cal on the road, Cal's 6-4, not a bad team as well. We just saw Cal, beat Louisville as well. So SMU's got a tough 2 games to go. Georgia Tech obviously has Pitt this week. That's a huge game. Pitt still has Georgia Tech and Miami, so Pitt probably has the toughest remaining schedule of them all. Virginia just has to win 1 more game, so I think Virginia is probably in the best spot of these ACC teams to make the ACC championship game with a chance to make the playoffs on the line. So Virginia in a great spot. They're sitting here at 9-2 at number 19. Number 18 is going to be Michigan. They're going to stay put where they're at. There's 2 ways you can look at this. You could look at it and say, well, Michigan not looking good in this Northwestern game. I don't want to hate on Northwestern because they are actually a very good team. They're 5-5, but they've played some teams very well. Like they ran the ball very well against Oregon. Even when they lost, they beat Penn State on the road. They played a close game on the road against Nebraska. Like this Northwestern team is a solid team. Don't get it twisted at all. But, man, you would have liked to look a little bit better from Michigan's perspective. I know Michigan's dealing with some injuries in their backfield. It sounds like they're going to be without Justice Haynes for the rest of the regular season, which is a huge loss. Jordan Marshall ran pretty good in this one, though. 142 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7.5 yards a carry. The problem here was Bryce Underwood looked really good in some of the moments in this game. Like he threw for 280 yards. Problem was he threw 2 picks and had a fumble. So, you can't have that if you play like that. And Michigan as a team had 5 turnovers in this one. Also missed 2 field goals. Like I don't know how they won this game. They found a way to win though, and that's what I was saying. You can look at this 2 ways. You can look at Michigan didn't play very good. They looked bad. Let's be honest. But even with that, they still found a way to win. Interesting little thought experiment there. So you can look at this 2 different ways. I'd probably lean towards, I don't know actually. Like, obviously if you're a Michigan fan, you'd like to see this team look better. I think their offense is much better this year. Don't get it twisted than it was last year. Last year was just a train wreck. I know they beat Ohio State. If you're a Michigan fan, you just got that last game of the regular season circled. I think they go into Maryland, get a win. Not too worried about them losing this one here. Maybe it's a little bit of a trap game, but Michigan should be fine, should be able to win. But yeah, I mean, if Michigan beats Ohio State, there's a good chance they get in the playoffs. So Michigan's still very much alive here. We're going to continue to see. It's going to be tough, though. They're going to need USC to lose because USC has the head-to-head over them. And if it becomes an argument between a 2-loss USC and a 2-loss Michigan, they probably take the 2-loss USC. So, Michigan needs USC to lose this week against Oregon. I think there's a good chance that happens. And then, obviously, they need to beat Ohio State. They get it at home. It could be interesting here. But like I said, if they play like that against Ohio State, I don't see any way they win that game. So they're going to need to clean that up. Texas, moving down 7 spots for me. I got them all the way down at 17. Just a tough loss against Georgia, right? 35-10. Georgia outscored them 21-0 in the fourth quarter. Texas was in this game, but Georgia just, like, they went for it on fourth down. They end up getting it. Huge fourth down call, by the way, from Kirby Smart. Like, they got the onside kick. Gunnar Stockton just looks ridiculous. Like, it's hard to say much about Texas in this one. Like, they ultimately didn't play that bad. I mean, they weren't able to run the ball. They had 23 rushing yards as a team, which is it is very bad. Arch Manning, 251 passing yards, a touchdown and a pick. Like, Texas, I don't know. They didn't play that bad. It's really just Georgia looks so good. I mean, we'll get to Georgia, but, I mean, Texas, tough loss, right? Like, you're done. You're probably eliminated from the playoffs. I know a lot of people are saying, well, they went out, they beat Texas A&M. Maybe if it's convincing, Texas could have a chance, but with the amount of 2-loss teams there's going to be, I just don't know if Texas has enough to get in at 9-3. Their best one would be against Oklahoma, or I guess it would be against A&M in this scenario. They'd also have a win over Oklahoma, but that loss against Florida, you know, they got blown out by Georgia. So, I don't know. Texas is in a tough spot. I probably would lean towards they don't get in, even if they win out. And I don't even know if they're going to be able to win out, because Texas A&M looks like a very good team. So, obviously, Texas A&M is a very good team. So, Texas probably likely done for the season. I think they will go out and blow out Arkansas, though. I think they respond in a big way this week. I think they really take it to Arkansas here. Number 16 is going to be USC. They survive against Iowa. Big game. They needed to win this one. That was a hard game to win. You know, it was bad weather, and they had at Oregon in the future. You know, the following week. So it could have been a trap game there, but USC finds a way to get it done. Lincoln Riley really looks like he's building something out there in Southern California, so that's exciting if you're a USC fan. Jaden Maiava looked pretty good, 254 yards and a touchdown in the air. King Miller continues to look really good running the ball. Makai Lemon is now leading the Power 4 in receiving yards, I believe, so he's an absolute dog. Obviously, Jacoby Lane, very good receiver as well. USC's got a lot of weapons on offense, and they're going to have to utilize them against Oregon. The problem is with this one, Oregon gets it at home. We did see Indiana go into Autzen and get a win over Oregon, but can USC do it? Like, I don't know if Dan Lanning loses twice at home in the same season. Game day is going to be at this one. Does Oregon lose twice when game day comes to their town in the same season? I don't know if I see that. Oregon's still a very good team. They can win in a whole lot of different ways. They ran the ball very well last week. They play defense very well. They're really good on the lines of scrimmage. Dante Moore has shown he's shown that he is a very capable passer. He can make big plays. We saw him play very well in that game against Penn State. I know Penn State's not the best team anymore, but still, that was a top 5 game at the time on the road, night game. Like, Oregon's got a lot of different ways they can win. I think Oregon's going to try to limit USC's offense and maybe control the time of possession, run the ball. They've been running the ball very well the past few weeks. I think it's just going to be a hard game for USC to win based off the matchup. I think their offense and their weapons will keep them in it, and obviously they're going to need to win out to make the playoffs. They don't get in at 9-3. Now, if they win this game, 10-2, USC, with a win over Michigan, with a win over Oregon, Iowa as well, like, USC, very good chance to make the playoffs if they win this game. I just don't think they will. I think Oregon has too many ways to win right now. Oregon looks like a really solid, fundamentally sound team. I think USC covers 10.5 is kind of crazy that it's that high to me. Like, I think this could be a very similar game, to the Notre Dame game where USC kind of hung around, but Notre Dame just kind of pulled away late, and Notre Dame ends up winning. Like, I have the score prediction almost the exact same as that game. I think it's going to be a very similar type of game that USC plays against Oregon here that they did against Notre Dame. I think it's going to be very similar, but 10.5, even if it goes 34-24, exact same score as the Notre Dame game, USC would still be covering. So I think USC covers. I feel pretty good about that, but I think Oregon does end up winning this game. Number 15 is going to be Utah. Utah continues to blow teams out. They're looking really good, man. Like, they're giving the committee a tough time. Like, 2-loss Utah at 10-2, they're gonna have to keep blowing these teams out, but maybe there's a little bit of life. I mean, I'm not sure. I think Utah probably reached their limit here with their ranking. Like, I don't see them. Like, they don't have any games on their schedule to be able to jump here. If they need like BYU. Well, BYU has the head-to-head, and Texas Tech does as well. Like, I don't know. They're gonna need BYU. They're gonna need find some way to get into the Big 12 championship game probably. Because even if they finish 10-2, even if they win out, I just don't see if they have enough on their resume to get this done. But, like, besides their 2 losses, every other game on the schedule, they have blown everyone out. So Utah, I think, is a very good team, very underrated. I just don't know if they have enough. I think if they continue to roll, I think they blow out Kansas State as well. Have them covering in this one. Number 14 is going to be Georgia Tech. I was kind of defending Georgia Tech. I was saying, how is Georgia Tech not the number 1 ranked or the highest ranked ACC team? You look at what they've done throughout the course of the season, I think you have to give it to Georgia Tech. But man, that was a rough watch against Boston College. They barely won that game. You could look at this kind of same thing with the Michigan game. You could look at this 2 different ways. You could say, well, Georgia Tech just went to Boston College, a team that was 1-9 at the time. They're now 1-10, and they probably should have lost that game. I know it was on the road, but 36-34 against a 1-10 team? It's not a great look, but you could say Georgia Tech has now shown, well, Haynes King, you know, there were questions, if Georgia Tech ever trails in a game, are they going to have enough to get back into this game? Does Haynes King have the passing capabilities to bring them back into a game? And he showed that he does. He led, you know, Georgia Tech to come back against Boston College there, so I guess that's a positive you can take away from this, but I don't know if I feel better about Georgia Tech after this one. I don't necessarily know if I feel worse, but I definitely don't feel much better here. Georgia Tech's still in a good spot to make the playoffs, though. I mean, if they win this Pitt game, they're probably into the ACC championship game. Now, obviously, if they win out, I'd say they're in the playoffs. Like, regardless what happens in the ACC championship game, if they beat Georgia with the way Georgia's looking, I don't think they will. I kind of posed this scenario last week where the ACC people are talking about, well, they might get 0 teams in. I said last week there's a chance they could get 2 teams in. People aren't really talking about that. Now I'm gonna kind of retract that because I don't think there's much of a chance Georgia Tech beats Georgia in that game. But if they do find a way to win, Georgia Tech probably will get in as an at-large. Like, even if they lose the ACC championship game, 11-2 Georgia Tech with wins over Georgia, Pitt, you know, Duke's a solid win. Like, I think Georgia Tech would have to get in at that point. So, Georgia Tech's in a good spot. You know, they need to win this week. Huge game this week in the ACC. Huge game. It's similar to the Virginia Duke game last week. 2 one-loss teams here in the ACC. There's only 4 one-loss teams left. This is going to eliminate one more if SMU and Virginia win, which I believe. I'm not sure if SMU is favored against Louisville, but Virginia's on bye. So if SMU wins, that would leave 3 teams left in the ACC with 1 loss. So huge spot here. Both these teams vying for their playoff lives. I think Georgia Tech gets it done at home. 2.5-point favorites. I think they cover. I think it's going to be a very fun, very close game. I think Pitt's defense, maybe it could be a little bit more low scoring than this, but honestly, I think Georgia Tech's putting up a lot of points right now. And, you know, Pitt just gave up a whole lot to Notre Dame. I think that may have just been the nail in the coffin for Pitt. Like, I don't know if they can really come back from that. If they can, props to them, but this is going to be a tough game to turn around for and kind of play for their season here. I think Georgia Tech gets it done even after the scare last week against Boston College. Number 13 is going to be Miami. Miami's going to be my highest-ranked ACC team now. The past 2 weeks, they've looked pretty good. I know they've played Syracuse and NC State, but they've looked really good in these past 2 weeks. Like, I know they shouldn't have lost SMU. They shouldn't have lost to Louisville. Like, yes. But I mean, there's a chance, man. There is a chance for Miami. 10-2 Miami. It's not a great chance because I don't think they get into the ACC championship game with 2 losses in conference. It's probably going to be Georgia Tech, Virginia, if I had to guess. Like, maybe SMU finds a way in there, but it's probably going to be those 2. I don't see Miami getting in there somehow, some way. But Miami does have the highest chance of any ACC team besides maybe Georgia Tech if Georgia Tech wins out, which I don't think they will. So you can kind of regard that. Miami does have the highest chance of any ACC team to get an at-large bid. They beat Notre Dame week 1. They have a dominant win against South Florida, who's been ranked a lot of the season. At Florida State, that was a ranked win at the time they played. The Florida game, they looked really good. Miami has a solid resume. It would help them if Louisville or SMU find their way back into the rankings, which they very well could. Both those teams are kind of just right on the outside. So then that wouldn't look like an unranked loss. It would look like, well, at least it's a ranked loss. Yeah, I don't know. Miami's in kind of a peculiar place. I don't really know what's going to happen with them. I'm interested to see where the committee puts them. It's kind of alarming to me if you're a Miami fan that the committee has teams like Vandy already ranked ahead of them. Teams like Utah already ranked ahead of them. Like, I would not feel great because those two teams, I mean, maybe Vandy loses to Tennessee, but Utah probably wins out, and they're showing you that they already value Utah at a higher spot than Miami. I'd put Miami ahead of Utah, personally. I do have Vandy ahead of them. I think they win against Virginia Tech. I think Miami does win out. That Pitt game is going to be tough. Pitt's a good team, but I think Miami does win out, maybe make it interesting, but I just don't know if I see them getting in. Vandy, they're going to be Kentucky. I think they should be Kentucky. I saw Diego Pavia's in like the top 5 for the Heisman odds once again. Crazy that he's still in there. He is, kind of maybe the only reason Vandy is this relevant. Shout out to him. I don't want to hate on Vandy. They're a very good team, 8-2. You take that every single day if you're a Vandy fan. But yeah, like, kind of same thing with Miami, kind of same thing with Utah. I just don't know. Like, this might be their ceiling for Vandy. Like, Vandy doesn't have much. At Tennessee could be a good one. I think Vandy maybe has the best chance to get into the playoffs just because they're SEC. If they go 10-2, one of these two lost teams loses. Maybe Vandy could sneak their way in, backdoor their way in as the last team in. But I really just don't see it for Vandy. I do think they win. I think they probably lose to Tennessee last week of the year as well. So I don't really, know if Vandy will even have a chance to get in. Because if they lose to Tennessee, have 3 losses, they're not getting in. Obviously, BYU. This is where I'd start to feel pretty good. Like Vandy, Utah, Miami. I don't see the ceiling for them. USC and Michigan still very much alive for the playoffs. Both those teams with 2 losses, but that's because they have the win. Like they have the teams on their schedule where if they beat those teams, they could potentially jump in. Same thing with like Virginia, Georgia Tech. They just have the ACC championship game on the horizon, so those teams could just get in based off the auto bid for winning their conference. BYU is probably the most interesting team of the group of teams I've stated so far, like all the way down from like Virginia to like the possible playoff teams, I guess you could say. BYU's interesting because, they're like the top team of these teams just on the outside. And at 9-1, like they're going to likely play for the Big 12 championship game unless they lose to Cincinnati, which would be a detrimental loss. And BYU's only favored by 2.5. Now, I'll say this right now. I think BYU wins. I think they're just playing for too much, but a night game Cincinnati, I love Brendan Sorsby. Cincinnati could very well make this interesting. Cincinnati was ranked last week for me. They were ranked last week in the selection committee. I know they did just lose to Arizona, but Cincinnati. We were saying Cincinnati, if they won last week, this would be essentially a play-in game for who gets to play Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship. So this would have been a much huger game. Now, Cincinnati, I guess they're still kind of playing for something, I guess, because, if they drop BYU to 2 losses in conference, all of a sudden, Cincinnati, Arizona State, Houston, Utah needs Cincinnati to win this game. I don't know how the tiebreaker situation really works here, but all of a sudden, if Cincinnati wins this game against BYU, there's all of a sudden 5 2-loss teams in the Big 12, and then Texas Tech would be the one-loss team. That would be very interesting. I do think BYU and Bear Bachmeier get it done, though. I think they go in. I've seen a lot of people picking Cincy in this game. I think BYU gets it done. I love what they're building over there. I love the culture. I think BYU wins. I think it's going to be a very close game, very tough game. I do think BYU wins, though. They just blew out TCU. I was saying, last week I was saying TCU could be a close game. They could be looking ahead. They blew them out. I mean, BYU has some pretty good wins. At Arizona looks like a decent win. The Utah game's obviously a good win. At Iowa State's a good one. Like, they've got some good wins. East Carolina is, right there in the American Conference at the top, so that's not a bad win. I think BYU is a really good team. I think they're, obviously, I think if they win this game, they're going to be playing in the Big 12 championship game. If they lose, they probably won't get in, but, I mean, if they win, they will likely get in. So, BYU still has a great chance to get in. They have a chance this weekend to either lose this game and end their season, or win this game and pick up another quality win. BYU in an interesting spot here. Number 10 is going to be where I put Alabama. Now, honestly, these top 10 teams, I don't know, man. They feel pretty safe to me. I don't know if any of these top 10 teams lose for the rest of the season. Is that, crazy to say? I just, Alabama losing to Oklahoma, yes, that's tough. They get Eastern Illinois this week, by the way. They're going to win. It's what we've been saying, they can't run the ball. They can't run the ball. Oklahoma struggled to run the ball at times. Ohio State has struggled to run the ball at times, but they still can. Alabama just can't run the ball. They're just not good at running the ball. They're very one-dimensional offensively. I don't love the defense. It's not like they have an elite defense to carry them through that. It's a solid defense, don't get me wrong. Ty Simpson has been amazing this season, but if he has an off game like he did against Oklahoma, Alabama's bound to lose. That's why I don't know if Alabama's a true national championship contender. It's unfortunate. It is. Alabama, though, should still be in position to make the playoffs. I don't see the committee dropping them any lower than 10. I think you could argue they should be 9. You could argue they should be 9 ahead of the team I have at number 9. We'll get to that. The committee may very well do that. I don't know how they can move the team I have at number 9 below them. I'll get to that in a second. Alabama should beat Eastern Illinois, but now all of a sudden that at Auburn, it's going to be a night game. That news just dropped. Night game in Jordan-Hare with playoff hopes on the line. That's scary if you're an Alabama fan. I promise you, Alabama fans are not happy that game is a night game, because that is going to be... It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough, man. I saw a stat. I think Auburn's 4-1 in night games in Jordan-Hare in the Iron Bowl. So, that's going to be a fun game. Going to be a crazy game, crazy environment. I can't wait for that one. I think Alabama can win. Obviously they can win. They probably should win. They'll be favored. But yeah, they're going to need to if they want to get in the playoffs. But if they win out, they should be in the playoffs. Notre Dame's going to be at 9. And like I said, I think you could argue, I actually had Notre Dame at 10 behind Alabama. I switched it though. First of all, I had Notre Dame ranked ahead of Texas Tech last week. I had Notre Dame ranked ahead of Oklahoma last week. I just couldn't do that anymore, realistically. Texas Tech has shown that they deserve to be ahead. Notre Dame, I think, what if, let's play out the scenario. I don't know how this would be possible, but what if, the last spot, the last at-large bid somehow comes down to Notre Dame and Alabama? Wouldn't you say Alabama deserves it more? Could you say that? Both teams 10-2? I feel like Alabama would just have the better wins. I don't know. I mean, Notre Dame has the USC win. They just got a huge win at Pitt. Looked very dominant in doing so. But Alabama has a blowout win against Tennessee, has a road win against Missouri, has a win on the road against Georgia, has a win over Vandy, a win over LSU. I don't know. Alabama just has way more wins against ranked teams. So if there's somehow a scenario, this might be the scenario. What if, I just thought of this. It's crazy. I do these videos off the top of my head. I don't know if you guys like it. I'm a little all over the place, but let's play this out. What if BYU wins against Cincinnati, wins against UCF, they win out. Texas Tech wins out. Those two teams play in the Big 12. What if BYU beats Texas Tech? Now you have to put BYU in there because they won their Big 12. Texas Tech, I would think, still gets in. I mean, Texas Tech has looked so good. Maybe not. But that would be a scenario where, I mean, I don't think they can, with the way, I mean, the committee loves Texas Tech. They have Texas Tech ahead of Ole Miss and Oregon. Texas Tech will likely be ranked number 5 tonight in the rankings when those come out. So, Texas Tech losing a conference championship game at 11-2. I don't think they drop all the way down here. So that last spot would then be between Notre Dame and Alabama. And if they're both 10-2, like, I have Notre Dame ranked ahead, but I don't know if the committee will put Notre Dame ahead of Alabama if they're both 10-2. I don't know. I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see how they handle this, where they put Notre Dame, where they put Alabama, if they keep Alabama ahead of Notre Dame, because I think whatever happens tonight is probably the team that they would stick with in that scenario. I'm going to put Notre Dame ahead. I love the eye test, and they just look like one of the best teams in the sport right now. Jeremiah Love is putting himself in the Heisman conversation for, good reason. Like, that dude is ridiculous. Jadarian Price, two-headed monster in the backfield. CJ Carr continues to look better and better. And at Pitt, they just won by 23 points or 22 points against a ranked team on the road. It's a pretty good win, man. Notre Dame continues to roll. They're going to blow out Syracuse, I would expect. I think they need to, and I think they will. I actually have them covering 35.5, which is crazy. I do think they blow them out, though. Number 8, Oklahoma. What a win for Oklahoma, essentially saving their season, because obviously if they lose this, they've lost that game, they wouldn't be in the playoffs. But now, sitting at 8-2, they're going to be favored. They already are favored against Missouri by 7.5, and they're going to be favored the last week of the year against LSU. I mean, Oklahoma just put themselves in a chance. As long as they take care of business, they should be in the playoffs. And if I'm a team, I don't want to play this Oklahoma defense with Brent Venables calling the defense with John Mateer on the other side offensively. He is insane at the quarterback position. I'd love to see if he can get to that early season form, because he was just making plays left and right. He was like the early Heisman frontrunner those first 3-4 weeks of the season until he got injured. And then he kind of, he hasn't really looked he hasn't really looked the same since then. But Oklahoma found a way to get it done against Alabama. Alabama probably should have won that game. Alabama outgained Oklahoma the whole game. They all the stats showed that you would think would be needed to win a game. Alabama had, and Oklahoma found a way to go in there and win the game. It was a crazy win. Oklahoma salvaged their season with that win. I think they win against Missouri. I think I already said that. I think they're going to be able to contain Missouri enough. I think the defense is good enough to stop Ahmad Hardy, or at least slow him down. I think Oklahoma has enough. I think they know they need to win, and I think they will against Missouri. Move to 9-2 with that win, and with a win over LSU, they will be in the playoffs. So Oklahoma in a huge spot. We're going to see, again, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with these last 3 teams here, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, and Alabama, because it's looking like 10 as of right now is the cutoff point for the at-large teams, because obviously the last 2 spots are going to be an ACC team and a group of 5 teams. So should be interesting. We'll see how they rank Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Alabama. That's going to be something I'm watching very closely, because I think that's going to tell a lot. But these top 7 teams, for me, feel pretty safely in. Texas Tech's going to be my number 7. They continue to dominate the Big 12. Their one loss is without their starting quarterback on the road against a very good Arizona State team. This Arizona State team's 7-3. They've been ranked at times in my rankings for, I want to say, for maybe 7-8 weeks. They've been ranked for a lot of the season for me. They haven't been ranked recently, but Arizona State's a really good team, guys. Sam Leavitt, they were ranked, top 15 preseason? Sam Leavitt, Jordan Tyson, and Texas Tech went on the road with their backup quarterback and maybe should have won that game. So Texas Tech is a really good team. I think their defense is good enough to compete with literally any team. I don't think they're just a good team for the Big 12. You saw what they did on the road against Utah, blew them out. Utah is just blowing out every other team they play, it feels like. That was a huge game there. They blew out BYU a few weeks back. They just blew out UCF. They continue to just look ridiculous. Their D-line is one of the best in the country. Chris Rodriguez is pushing himself to be in the Heisman conversations there. I mean, him and Arvell Reese, probably the 2 best linebackers. Not probably. They are the 2 best linebackers in the country. Texas Tech, like I said, I think they have the defense to compete with anyone, and as long as Baron Morton at quarterback stays healthy, I think there's a chance they can win a playoff game or two. That's how good I think this Texas Tech team is. It's going to depend on the matchup and who they draw, but Texas Tech, I think at this point, should be safely into the playoffs. They are that good, and the committee has them ahead of Ole Miss and Oregon, which I do not, so the committee is even higher on them. But like I said, I love Texas Tech. Number 6 is where I'm going to put Oregon. They continue to impress me, man. They somehow found a way to win at Iowa in an ugly game. Everything was going right for them. That was the exact game scenario Iowa would have wanted to win that game, and Oregon found a way to win. I picked Minnesota to cover against Oregon. I was wrong. Oregon ends up covering that one. Against USC, I guess I'm going to continue to bet against Oregon. I think USC covers, but I think Oregon wins. I think they just have shown throughout the season they have so many ways to win. They can run the ball very efficiently. Dante Moore has shown, like I said, he's shown to be a very capable quarterback when he needs to be. Against Indiana, he didn't have the best game. That's kind of what people remember this Oregon team as, but I don't know, man. Oregon they had 72 from Noah Whittington against Minnesota. Jordan Davison had 57. They have 179 rushing yards as a team. Dante Moore threw for over 300 yards. I don't know, man. This Oregon team, people are kind of forgetting about them. Just because they lost to Indiana at home, but and I know Oregon as of right now doesn't have any ranked wins, which doesn't look great, but I would predict they're going to pick up their first ranked win against USC. That Iowa win was a ranked win at the time. I don't think Iowa will be ranked anymore because I believe Iowa just lost yet to USC. But Oregon, a lot of people are forgetting about them. If I'm a team in the first round, let's say I'm a bye team, one of the top 4 seeds, I would not want to draw Oregon there in the quarterfinals. I would just be very upset if I had to play Oregon. In all honesty, Oregon reminds me a lot of last year's Ohio State team, which obviously we saw what they did in the playoffs. So if I'm a team one of those top seeds, I would not want to play Oregon. I thought of a pretty crazy scenario, kind of a chaos scenario, I guess you could say, for Oregon. What if USC goes in, because I saw someone saying, well, Oregon just kind of needs to win both of these games, or win one of these games to get into the playoffs, which I do think they'll win one of these games. But what if that's not necessarily the case? What if they lose to USC and then beat Washington? That would put Oregon at 10-2. USC would also be at 10-2, assuming they went out. USC would have the head-to-head over Oregon. So how would that look if they have the same record and USC has the head-to-head? Oregon would still not have a ranked win at that point. Then, what if Michigan beats Ohio State? Then all of a sudden, well, obviously Ohio State still has to get in. Michigan at 10-2 has a win over Ohio State. That's a better win than any win Oregon has. All of a sudden, there's a lot of 10-2 teams here for Oregon. What if also BYU wins the Big 12, Texas Tech would get in over Oregon? So I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think Oregon, if you're an Oregon fan, you just want to win. You just want to win out. Don't try to test it. Like I said, I saw some people saying, well, Oregon just needs to win one of these games. Maybe yes, maybe that is true, just because I'm just throwing out chaos scenarios, but I don't think it's all said and done if Oregon just loses to USC, wins against Washington, they'll get in, because if Michigan beats Ohio State, USC wins out, all of a sudden those teams are both 10-2. Those teams probably both get in over Oregon. So I don't know. I think this USC game is huge. I don't think people know how big this game really is. If USC wins this game, I think USC is all of a sudden I believe if USC wins this game, they could find their way into the Big Ten championship game if Ohio State finds a way to lose, which maybe they do. Michigan's won 4 in a row, but I don't know if I'd bank on that. But USC very much alive. I think Oregon wins though. Like I said, sorry, I have to say these playoff scenarios because if I don't say them here, I can't keep them all to myself. I can't. Ole Miss, I will say, is the first team that I feel is just clinched the playoffs. I don't think they're going to be playing in the SEC championship game. I think they will win against Mississippi State. They're on bye this week. The only thing I worry about for Ole Miss, like I said, I think they're clinched for the playoffs at this point. Even if they lose to Mississippi State, they're going to be in. Like 10-2, Ole Miss will be in the playoffs with a win over Oklahoma as well. Like that's huge for them. Ole Miss will be in the playoffs no matter what. And if they win them against Mississippi State, maybe they find their way in the SEC championship game. I don't think so they will, but maybe they do. But the only thing I worry about for Ole Miss is when they do get in the playoffs, how does the whole Lane Kiffin situation affect the team? Like, is that going to be a distraction? I feel like it might be. I feel like we kind of saw that a little bit against Florida as well. Like, Florida kept it close. I will say Quan Lacey looks like one of the best running backs in the country, and nobody's talking about him. He had a phenomenal day against Florida. He was huge for Ole Miss. 224 yards, 3 touchdowns, 7.2 yards a carry. This dude's an absolute dog. Trinidad Shambles is a very good player as well. But like I said, I just worry about the Lane Kiffin thing. How does that affect the Ole Miss locker room? That's my only question with Ole Miss, but I think, like I said, they should be a clinch playoff team right now. You can book it. They're in the playoffs. Georgia at number 4. I mean, Georgia, man. November, Georgia has arrived. A just ridiculous win against Texas. Gunnar Stockton with that game has now put himself in the Heisman conversation, which I think is very fair because this year there's not a really runaway favorite for the Heisman. Like Julian Saint and Fernando Mendoza are kind of the top 2. Marcel Reed's been in there. Ty Simpson's been in there, but I don't know if he is now that Alabama lost. Like, it's kind of wide open still. And Gunnar Stockton has entered the conversation. That dude is just ridiculous. Kirby Smart made some crazy coaching calls in this game, and he just basically won them this game against Texas. They blew him out 35-10, ended Texas's season, and Georgia is just cruising right now. This is a Georgia team that I think could very well win the national championship game. Maybe they don't have the talent they've had in the past, but this team just fights. They're so hard to beat. Like, the fact that Alabama beat them is ridiculous. They've been down at so many times this season, and they found ways to come back and win. They were in a close game with Texas for 3 quarters, but in the fourth, they turned it on, outscored them 21-0 in the fourth quarter, and Georgia wins this game. Against Charlotte, they should blow them out. But yeah, man, Georgia, I mean, the run game still looks ridiculous. They shut down Texas's run game. It feels like every time Georgia plays Texas, they just dominate on the lines of scrimmage. We saw that again. Georgia looks like a formidable force. If you wanted to put Georgia at 3 ahead of A&M, I really wouldn't blame you. I'm not going to do it because A&M's still undefeated, but like you very well could do that. In all honesty, you really could. Like, Georgia is that good. I don't want to Georgia could very well win the national title this year. I think Ohio State would be my number 1 most likely team, but if you had to tell me to pick a second team, I'd probably pick Georgia right now. That's how good I feel about Georgia right now. They're going to come in at number 4. A&M survives against South Carolina after being down 30-3 at halftime. They outscore them 28-0 in the second half and win the game. Marcel Reed comes back from the dead. The A&M team comes back from the dead. I'm so interested what Mike Elko told them in the locker room, because whatever it was, it worked. A&M survives. They find a way to win. Against Sanford, once again, they should blow them out. I just hate this, that the SEC does this. I say this every week, but it's just so stupid. Anyways, A&M now should be locked into the playoffs. They're going to beat Sanford, obviously. And even if they lose at Texas, 10-1 A&M, 11-1 A&M, should be enough to get into the playoffs. They're the only undefeated team in the SEC standings left, so they should be in a pretty good spot to make the SEC championship game. And if they do make that game and win, they're going to be probably, the number 2 team behind the Big Ten champ. So A&M still in a great spot. That was a little concerning against South Carolina, but the fact that they were able to come back, find a way to win, makes me feel pretty good about their resilience. But yes, it is a little concerning that they were down that much in the first half. So I'll keep A&M at 3. If you wanted to put Georgia ahead of them, I honestly wouldn't blame you, because South Carolina is really not that great of a team. But they did give Alabama a scare a few weeks back. South Carolina's got some talent. They've got some NFL talent on their team, but yeah, it is a bit concerning that it was that much of a blowout in the first half. I thought there was no way A&M came back, so the fact that they did maybe is just skewing me a little bit. Maybe it's not as impressive as it was, because I mean, down 28 at half is it's bad. It is bad, but A&M won nonetheless. Indiana's going to stay at number 2 for me. They kind of quietly had like a close game with Wisconsin. It was pretty close for a while. It was kind of overshadowed by the A&M game. Indiana's going to stay at number 2, though. Like, obviously, they end up winning by 24. It's not like A&M where they won by 1 point. They're on bye this week, so they're going to have some time to get healthy. I know Elijah Surratt's been banged up. So they're going to have time to get healthy. I think that's big for them because this is the one concern I had about Indiana. How much talent is in their depth. I know they have great talent in their starting lineup, but if they suffer some injuries, who's going to replace that talent? Do I feel great about that? No. But they get a bye to get healthy for that Purdue game. I think they should win. They're going to be set up. It looks like we're on a collision course for number 1 versus number 2 in the Big Ten championship game. Both teams 12-0, and I can't wait for that. And not to mention the 2 QBs that are the Heisman frontrunners. So we're set up for a huge game. That's going to be in Indianapolis, by the way. So I know Ohio State fans travel very well, but essentially a home game for Indiana. It's going to be crazy. Ohio State's going to be at number 1. They blow out UCLA without Cardinal Tate once again, which we'll get to that. Jeremiah Smith left after the first half, I want to say. Both those guys are injured right now. We're going to need those guys back for Michigan. We're going to need everyone back for Michigan. But they ran for over 6 yards a carry against UCLA. That's the most anyone's ran against UCLA, yards per carry wise, since 2019. And this is the one flaw about Ohio State that everyone's saying, well, they're not great running the ball. Well, I don't know, guys. Like, they just ran the ball very well against UCLA. They've been trying to focus on the run game, it feels like, and it looks like it's getting better. Put up 48 points without their 2 best receivers. Maybe their 2 best, probably their 2 best offensive players. So, and then the defense gave up 0 points when the starters were in. Then they took them out, gave up 10. I know UCLA was without Nico Iamaleava. I don't think it would have mattered, honestly, if he was in. Probably would have ended up similar score. But Ohio State continues to roll. Against Rutgers, I think they continue to roll as well. Maybe they focus on the ground game once again. I say just leave Jeremiah Smith and Cardinal Tate out for this game. Let them rest. Just let them get ready for Michigan because that is a big game for Ohio State. They need to win that. I know they're going to be in the playoffs either way, but just for the program's sake, the rivalry's sake, Ryan Day's sake, they need to win that game. But I think they'll beat Rutgers pretty easily here. They're the clear number 1 team, by the way. No questions asked. I say that every week, but it feels like every week it's getting more and more of a gap because Indiana and A&M kind of having struggling games. So that's going to do it for the Week 13 College Football Top 25 rankings. I can't wait to see what the committee has here in store for us in, an hour and a half from when I'm finishing recording this. Let me know what I got wrong, what you disagree, what you agree. What are your chaos playoff scenarios? Just comment whatever you want down there. I'd love to discuss down there. But that's going to do it. Like this video if you enjoyed. I forget if I already said that. Make sure you subscribe, turn on the noties. We do college basketball every Monday, college football every Tuesday, obviously. Wednesdays, NFL. Thursdays, NBA. Subscribe so you don't miss any of that. But that's going to do it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow with another weekly NFL game prediction video.